Firstly, I would like to just commend Deputy Ross for the publication of this bill and bringing it before the House this morning, and I think it's a tribute to him and the work that he's done in relation to this matter. And I would just like to say, starting off, that I totally agree with Deputy Ross in not facilitating the Minister and being here, especially when you see the type of response that's here that has been drafted, obviously, by the Minister. And I certainly wouldn't add anything to the debate here today. And the Minister goes on in his contribution about how in December he announced a public consultation process with regard to formulating proposals for Cabinet and how to change judicial appointments. But in the very next paragraph then he goes on to say that the judicial appointments as operating has already formed the view that it is very much of its time. So why did he have announce a public consultation when he believes that it's actually working perfectly and there's nothing wrong with it? And the Minister goes on then to say that Deputy Ross is, what does he say? It says, rendering it independent of politics as he spuriously and disingenuously claims. I think the Minister is the king of spuriousness and disingenuousness, because this whole tone and tenor of this response to this piece of legislation smacks of it. And I think the fact that, that he puts this into the House is disrespectful of this House as well. At the very least we could expect is that they would look at the legislation and provide a critique of it, rather than trying to be so rude in the response in relation to it. And in fact as well, I understand that the Minister was not in a position or couldn't guarantee that government would give time for the debating of this bill. So if this bill had been withdrawn today, it would have to go back into the lottery, and God knows if it would ever have come back out of it again to be debated. I think the system of judicial appointments has to be reviewed, and I think it has been outlined by a number of speakers that the Judicial Appointments Review Committee said the system of judicial appointments in Ireland was demonstrably deficient. And that says a lot when they're talking about this. They said the system must be reformed so that to secure the selection of the very best candidates and contribute to the administration of justice in a manner that will sustain and enhance public confidence. Because there is a very real risk, and it has been outlined by judges, that the best candidates, because they are not affiliated politically, will not get selected. And that is what this piece of legislation wants to change. And of course the political system that Fine Gael, Labour, Fianna Fáil and the Progressive Democrats, when they were about, are embedded in, doesn't want to see that change, because a system of patronage is what you want to maintain. We look at the appointment of judges, you see former chairpersons of Commons, you see former town council mayors, you see former TDs, you see former councillors, you see the children of former TDs and councillors. So you see exactly how somebody gets to be appointed as a judge in this country. And there is, the one thing I will say, and it has been pointed out, that it is a tribute to the judiciary that there hasn't been undue political influence, and it's certainly that there has to be political influence to get appointed, and it is a blessing that we can say, or that we can't openly point out to cases where political influence has influenced judgments. But it's a lot more subtle than that, because judges know that they got to where they are because of their political affiliations. So they know at a subliminal level that they don't need to rock the boat, or they shouldn't rock the boat, to ensure that that system continues. The Law Society, in their submission, said that the current system, whereby a list of potential names is supplied to the government and the Cabinet chooses from that list, leaves the system open to accusations that political allegiance has played a part in an appointment. There's absolutely no doubt about it. The only way you get to be appointed as a judge is by having political allegiances. And we see that the jabs that the Minister makes so much play for, that he says is of its time. He says, unfortunately, to date, the jab has not conducted such interviews. So we have a Judicial Appointments Board that has never conducted an interview, has never interviewed a potential candidate for a job. It's the most unbelievable system that we could operate in any democracy. And I think it's disingenuous of the Minister to come in here and rubbish this bill, or to send somebody in a proxy to rubbish this bill in such a way. This bill should be treated with some respect before the House. It should be debated, and let the government come out and vote against it, and you are voting against it in order to continue the patronage.